All right, let's talk about J.J. McCarthy, who had quite the game for the Minnesota Vikings. Like, about halfway through this game, at halftime, people were wondering if McCarthy was going to start the third quarter, and I think the overwhelming consensus was, well, this was kind of underwhelming by McCarthy. But then the second half comes around, and you could certainly argue that it was just because there were now no backups even in the game for the Raiders, and that's when things got better. But I actually think he legitimately just also got better once he got to that point. So let's talk about it all. Let's talk about the slow start, the issues that happened in the middle, and then some of the really good stuff that happened later on. So yeah, let's just jump into it. Let's start off with this play, the one you see on the screen, and you see the concept and how it's going to work, right? Where really there's, to me, kind of the more over-the-middle route tends to be the one that often gets open, but McCarthy is actually going to start off this play looking over towards his right. You see how when he takes the snap, he does look in that direction, but it's not going to go open here. And again, I'm not saying this is the bad way to do this. A lot of teams that's how it's designed, is you start off this play looking towards his right. I'm not in the huddle. I can't say for certain, but you see that that's where he's looking. I think a lot of young quarterbacks could get a little bit in trouble here by at least, for one, maybe you don't love what you see, and so you have to try and scramble instead of just being patient and going to your next read, or maybe you make a throw that you shouldn't make, which can, be really bad at times. None of that here. McCarthy instead, again, stays patient, navigates the pocket well, moves to his next read, and now there is a player who's going to be open over the middle of the field. So this is good stuff so far by McCarthy. McCarthy is going to hit this receiver, and again, you could easily look at that and say, well, he was wide open. But again, part of football isn't just hoping your receivers get open. You have to find the open receiver. That's a big part of being a quarterback, and McCarthy was able to do that there. So again, especially for a young quarterback, this is a really good skill to have and something you really hope that your young quarterbacks can have. Like, this one's another example of something like that, where it's going to be a zone coverage play, it's a play action, and you have a receiver running over the middle, and I'm going to spoil this play before I even show it. What's actually going to happen here is the receiver is going to get wide open. This is not going to be a tough throw for McCarthy to make. Watch, he takes the snap, okay, no big deal, has time, but the time is running out, and running out in a hurry. A blitzing Raiders linebacker is coming in, ready to clobber McCarthy, so this is where the issue arises. As I said, there's an open receiver. Getting it there isn't the issue. Having a guy open isn't the issue. He has to be able to get enough strength on this ball to just get it down there. However, that's exactly what he's able to do. He is able to pull off this throw. They do get a big completion right there. So again, this is good stuff by McCarthy. Again, if you're a hater, you will say, these guys were wide open, and that's totally a fair thing to say. You can't deny that these guys were open, but again, he's doing stuff to allow the ball to get there, so you have to give him credit. This was not a perfect day by any means by J.J. McCarthy. There were mistakes made, this one being one of them. Kind of a more simple one, but still definitely worth talking about. It's going to be a play action rollout to the bottom of the screen. You have a player who's lined up in the backfield, going to run over towards the flat, towards the offense's right. That's who McCarthy is going to hit. Watch as when this play begins, you see that he does roll out, and there's pressure as designed. You left that guy unblocked for a reason, although this pressure is a little bit more aggressive than you typically like to have, for sure. Usually you don't like this to be quite as bad. However, McCarthy is going to miss this throw, and while you can sit here and say that the pressure was a little bit worse, I still think that's the throw that you want to be able to make. It's the NFL. Guys are going to be in your face sometimes. You have to be able to make the throw. He did it on that play earlier, wasn't able to quite do it here. Not the end of the world, wasn't going to go for a ton of yards, but again, you could have had 5 yards on that play perhaps. The difference between 2nd and 5 and 2nd and 10 does matter, so definitely one that, again, no big deal, but one he should have had. I think one he would like to have back. And then this play was just a bit of a weird one where you're going to see him, again, under pressure, sidearms it, and it's a wild throw. That's just nowhere near where he was trying to get it to be. So again, so some weird throws in this one. I think it's definitely reasonable to say. Also, we got to talk about the interception that happened here, right, at the, early on in the second quarter, where it's going to be a man coverage concept that the Raiders are in. That's the way it works, and also worth mentioning the situation. It's a 3rd down and 8, and to be honest, I'm more okay with taking a chance in this situation. It's still probably too far to go for it, so you probably would have to punt. So you're essentially losing possession if you throw an incompletion. So if it's a bit of a riskier throw, now is the time to do it. And again, I don't know how much people are actually thinking that way, given the fact that it's a preseason game, how much that matters. But if we're assuming that that is how he's thinking, taking a chance here isn't the end of the world. McCarthy is going to take the snap. He looks down the field, and you see pressure is starting to come. So now he has to move, and whatever throw he makes at this point is going to have to be on the run towards his right, which, again, you can do, but it's now an added degree of difficulty. Switching over to this angle, because it's just an easier angle to see what's going on, you see the player who he's looking at, right? They're right next to each other in this frame. Definitely he could you can see why he would make this throw or why he'd want to make this throw, but this is very much a giving your receiver a chance play. You're trusting that your receiver can win if you make this throw. And again, given the situation, maybe time to take a risk. I can understand what he's thinking. However, right here, the Raiders player did have the inside leverage, and it's really probably a throw that he just shouldn't have made. And this is one of those that in the college level, you might be able to get away with more if you have a better mismatch. At the NFL level, though, unless it's Justin Jefferson, this is the throw you probably just shouldn't make. Again, that's part of the learning experience of a young player, is figuring out which throws that you've been able to make all your life you now can't really make, and you have to find other ways to make things work. That's what makes evaluating young quarterbacks so difficult, is some young quarterbacks figure out this stuff and get better at it, and some never do. Will McCarthy figure it out? I see no reason why he wouldn't, but you just never know. It was a play that, again, one he would like to have back, I'm sure. He had this play, which, I don't know how many drives he knew he had left. I'm sure he was assuming this might be his last one. So 3rd down and 5. Doesn't want to end it on a bad note, I'm sure, here. It's a cover 1 blitz. Wants to see if he can get a first down here. However, with the blitz, what happens is that, for one thing, nothing he sees is very open, but also there's pressure coming. It picked up by the halfback nicely, but still, got a halfback blocking someone one-on-one. That's not going to last forever. For McCarthy, he's going to have to figure something out. You're going to see him put 2 hands on the ball, kind of looks like he's protecting the ball, but then realizes he has a chance to get out of there, does, and picks up a first down instead. Very fun, so you at least get that play from McCarthy after maybe making some mistakes earlier on. That was nice to see, although I have a nitpick on what would happen after this. This play later on in the drive, it's a 3rd down and 12. He's going to scramble outside. This is all good. This is all good stuff by McCarthy. Don't love what you see. Try to pick up some yards. Well done. But it's 3rd down and 12. You got multiple Raiders in front of you, and it's the preseason. You can't be doing what he's going to do here. He tries to take them on and takes a hit, and it wasn't a bad hit or anything. It was fine, but it could have been a bad hit, and it just wasn't a smart decision. Again, it's the preseason. There's pretty much no scenario where you should be taking a hit right here if you're trying to win a starting job, especially if you're the quarterback of the future, right? That's just not smart in my opinion, but especially on a 3rd down and 12, if you have the starting job and it's the regular season, this isn't the time to take a hit either, I don't think. It wasn't a great decision in my opinion. So then we go into the locker room for a halftime. We come out, Raiders run their drive, and I'm wondering, okay, is that going to be just it for McCarthy? Kind of an underwhelming, start, but it is what it is. No big deal. It's the preseason. Well, maybe they just felt like, hey, it didn't go that well. Let's give him some more playing time. I don't know, but we got to see some good stuff here immediately coming out of the gate in the second half. Some really good stuff. Like right here, it's going to be a man coverage. It's a blitz, actually. So that over the middle route is one that definitely can get open, especially because it's a safety picking up this route. McCarthy's going to read this play pretty quickly, and you see right there, that is where he should be throwing the football. Like, on paper, it makes sense, and even in practice, this seems like a pretty good decision. There is an issue, though, with this, right? It's not horrible defense. This is not wide open by any stretch of the imagination, but watch this throw. As you see, really good throw here by McCarthy, perfectly on the money. So good read, really good throw, and you're able to get a completion right there on a 3rd down and 9. And while I'm sure that would have been plenty, McCarthy says, hey, this is, far from over. Let's see what else we can do. Going over here, it's going to be a cover 3 zone play. You have a one-on-one matchup on the outside. That's the way this play is designed to work. And so, hey, McCarthy says one-on-one matchup, let's see how it goes. He looks down the field. He fires down the field. And I'm just going to be honest, this is wide open, for sure. That's definitely true. But again, whether it's wide open or not very open at all, I'm evaluating the quarterback. What how is this throw itself? Well, this throw is a thing of beauty. You couldn't ask for a better throw than that. Even if it wasn't wide open, that's still going to end up as a touchdown because of how well that was. So definitely, if you were concerned at all about how some of the first half stuff went, you got to be thrilled about how this drive went. You also had this one, which was, they run to play action, are able to get someone just wide open at this point. I mean, they're able to get a touchdown on this one. Definitely, you look at the play like this and say, okay, this was kind of one of those you're playing, against a team that doesn't have any starters playing at this point, which is, it's fine. Well, I think that might boost up some stats a little bit. Yes, okay, this play was an example of kind of the, once you get up against guys who aren't even backups, it was easier. I want to show those other plays just to show, no, there was some good, legitimate good stuff, even if you want to say the situation was easier as well. I think that's fair. So yeah, those were my thoughts. I mean, it was an interesting game. I do think this is going to be one of those games that, people who didn't watch the game are going to say, wait, how do you have any criticisms? Look at the numbers, all that stuff. But again, if you watch the game, you will see that, yeah, there were some things he has to improve upon. Again, no big deal. Rookie mistakes in the preseason. That's why you play in the preseason, is to get those mistakes out of your system and sort of figure out how the game works. The good stuff was certainly good. So as a whole, if you're a fan of McCarthy, then I'm sure you're going to pay attention to the second half. If you're not a fan of McCarthy, I'm sure you're going to pay attention to the first half. But those are kind of my thoughts on this. It showed some real flashes. Also has some things he has to work on. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.